In this edition of the Bucs Minutecast, Tom Brady rallies the Bucs to pick up a big win against the Rams. Tom Brady surpasses a lot of yards. He surpasses 100,000 passing yards. Is it possible that anyone could catch him? And despite the great outcome of the last game, Tom Brady calls out the Bucs for their lack of effort. We'll talk about all of that and more next on this edition of the Bucs Minutecast. Keep it right here.
Minutecast Media.
10,000!
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers Minutecast starts right now.
Bucs on 3, 1, 2, 3, Bucs!
This is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Minutecast.
Well, hello and welcome into this edition of the Bucs Minutecast. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. As always, this podcast is free and available on all the major platforms. You can find this podcast on the Bucs Report. Check them out online, bucsreport.com. You can also find it on YouTube. Just search for the Bucs Report. And as always, you can find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Minutecast. My name is Dan Holme. You can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It is at Bucs Minutecast. So in this episode, we are going to talk about the great play of the Buccaneers. And I know what you're talking about. You know, they picked up a big win, but they didn't have the lead the entire game. In truth to that, they did not. But a win is a win and a great moral boost, I guess you could say, for this Bucs team. We'll talk about that in the show. We will talk about how Tom Brady rallied his troops. He rallied his players to pick up a big win. You know, he is proving why he is the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time. You know, despite what all the haters are saying about him out there, he handily beat that team, and he can step up when called upon. Then later in the show, we will talk about Tom Brady as he surpasses 100,000 passing yards. And then in the final segment here, we're going to talk about how he calls out his players for a lack of effort. But just to get it going here, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in fact, beat the LA Rams by a score of 16-13. And it was a game that saw Tom Brady go 36 for 58 with one touchdown. So he was able to get on the score sheet there. It was a game that saw, you know, a lot of production from a lot of people that you wouldn't expect. I mean, if you would have picked that Cade Otton would have played such a big role in that team and picking up the victory, you should gamble more in Las Vegas, because I don't think, I think everyone knows that Cade Otton is a good player. But if you actually thought that he was going to be so integral in the Bucs picking up that big win. Ryan Suckup also 3 for 4. So he continues to do great things for this Bucs team, because what do we notice a lot? The Buccaneers oftentimes have not won games based on touchdowns. It's been getting field goals. It's been getting, that kind of thing. So for Ryan Suckup to go out there and just do what he does best, and that's kick for really great field goals. 3 for 4. I guess I'm not going to complain about that too much. If he was 4 for 4, of course, that would be better. But, we're not going to complain about that too much here. Just looking at the game here, he says, Tom Brady says he always tells his guys that he doesn't care about drop balls. He cares more about them not getting open. He misses throws. They drop balls. He'll always go back to them after he drops. And that's, a bit debatable. One of the things is that Tom Brady likes to throw to targets that is known. And I think that ultimately, that's a nice PR thing for Tom Brady to say that, even if you drop the football, I'll throw it to you again. He does that, but, to a certain extent, I've seen him in the past where he throws the ball at a guy and that guy continues to drop it. Then, of course, reasoning would dictate that you should move on to a player that might be able to catch it. Tom Brady says he suggested the winning touchdown play to Byron Leftwich, and Leftwich said, go for it. And if you are on Twitter or if you're on any social media, what is the one thing that you hear out there all the time? the Bucs got to get rid of Byron Leftwich. They got to get rid of Byron Leftwich. This is the same Byron Leftwich that was on the Bucs when they won the Super Bowl. So, to say that all the blame for the way the Bucs are playing right now rests squarely on his shoulders, I think is a bit short-sighted. But when you have someone like Tom Brady that has a high NFL IQ, he's played in the league a long time. He knows how to see plays. He sees them in his head. He knows what different players' strong suits are. He probably asked for the play, like they said there, and he said go for it. And guess what? Pay dirt as your Buccaneers pick up the dub, the big W. Todd Bowles says all three cornerbacks, Sean Murphy Bunting, Carlton Davis, and Jamal Dean, played very physically against the Rams and were a big part of keeping the Rams from getting around the edge on the Jets sweeps. So, and I do agree with that. Sean Murphy Bunting and Carlton Davis. The corner position was last year a position that was pretty depleted based on injury. And, to get that production now, to have Sean Murphy Bunting out there, I mean, he brings a lot to the table. He is a great corner for this team. And we really did notice when he was out for a substantial period of time last year, his impact that he has on this team. Because sometimes, what they say is you don't really notice what you have in a player until they're absent. And for me, Sean Murphy Bunting, Carlton Davis, two huge players on this team. So to have them in the lineup, it means a lot. Tom Brady on his Let's Go podcast, doubt does start to creep in because you're putting all your time and energy into this and it doesn't go well. Then you look at the schedule and wonder, where do we get one? It's there. You just got to play well. And, it's one of the things that I've talked about in this podcast a lot is at the end of the day, you got to kind of start to wonder, is Tom Brady kind of questioning why he came back? Was it worth him ruining his marriage with Giselle to come back to football for a football team that, let's be honest, is playing better, I guess? And, we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. Just based on the horrible play of the NFC South, they could very well win the NFC South. The Falcons and the Saints aren't exactly lighting it up out there. So despite all the poor play out there, losing 3 games in a row, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And that light at the end of the tunnel is you have Tom Brady as your quarterback. So that is always a good thing to have in your pocket there. And then you have the fact that the NFC South has been kind of a shit show this year. So the fact that the Bucs can kind of lean on that and know that, despite, having kind of a rough go of it for a while there, that they were able to pick up a big win against a Rams team. And I know that this is not the Rams of last year, but still the Rams, they got a lot of, firepower on that team. So for them to pick up a big win is kind of a big deal for me. I mean, when you saw them lose against the Panthers, you kind of started to doubt everything. Is it possible that this team is just going to tank this year and they're not going to even make the playoffs? Well, it's easy to take the negative train. It's very hard to stay positive. But, you can kind of see that things are starting to gel a little bit better together. If that was the Bucs earlier in the season, I could have seen how they would have got kind of down on their luck, down in the dumps, and they would have lost that game last Sunday, but they found a way to persevere. Good teams do that and pick up the win. And, you can thank Tom Brady and a lot of other players, Vita Vea, lighting it up out there. Just playing a big game out there. And, you got Devin White, who is taking accountability. He was saying that, he feels lucky that he's in this league. And, to a certain extent, I think that, he kind of took that for granted. And he got kind of lit up by Greg Auman, and then he ended up apologizing to Greg Auman by saying, I should have been available. I'm sorry, because when Greg Auman and the press asked him after the game if he wanted to talk before, he said, "Nah, man, I'm good." And why is that? Because Devin White knew that he wasn't playing in top form, that he was kind of maybe loafing on one play. But in any case, I think that Devin White has stepped up, and we can't be so hard on Devin White. That's the one thing I'm going to say about fans of sports players and teams in general, is they're a very fickle bunch. And if they do things, fine 9 times out of 10, that one time, if they don't do it the right way, they're going to turn on you on a dime. Let's remember who this Devin White is on this team. He's one of the greatest players in the NFL, I guess I'm going to say right now, and one of the biggest players on the Buccaneers. So to start to kind of cast shade at Devin White seems a bit ridiculous to me. In this next article here, this was in The Athletic, we talk about Tom Brady rallying the Bucs to get past the Rams. He still got it. The sentiment was the same, echoed all over the Buccaneers locker room, with jubilant teammates talking about how familiar and amazing it was to see Tom Brady lead the team to a game-winning touchdown, rallying to beat the Rams 16-13 for a crucial comeback win at Ray J Stadium. And what better place to get that kind of win than at home? It's good for the fans. There's a lot of people that paid a lot of money for tickets to see Tom Brady and the Bucs out there. Let's be honest, in the years before Tom Brady was there, it wasn't always a full house. So to have that kind of, great game in front of your home fans, for me as a fan, that's got to mean a lot. And it's got to mean a lot for Tom Brady and the Bucs. It's just like the good old days when I was a kid watching Tom Brady drive down the field, cornerback Jamal Dean said, and that's got to make Tom Brady feel old, doesn't it? I mean, I'm the same age that he is, but still to have guys on your team saying, I watched you when I was a kid. That's got to be kind of a tough pill to swallow, but I digress. He's known for his 2-minute offense, so seeing that happen live, it's like, yeah, he still got it, said defensive tackle Vita Vea, who had 2 sacks Sunday. Shoot, he's been doing that for 40 years. Nothing new. We just knew he had to get the ball in his hands and let him do his thing. And, that's the thing, is I don't think that anyone is really doubting Tom Brady at this point, are they? I mean, are we going to forget the fact that he has won 7 Super Bowls, and he's won one of those with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that was, kind of truly deplorable for quite a few years. There were some lean years with Jameis Winston at the helm. He was very hot and cold, shall we say. An interception machine is what I would characterize him as. But so to have Tom Brady on this team, why would people doubt him? Just because he's had a couple bad games, you got to kind of give the guy a little bit of a break. He went through a divorce. He was married to his wife for 12 years. That is a big deal. He has children with her, all that kind of thing. So if Tom Brady wasn't in top form, in every game out there, let's give the guy a little bit of a break. Brady became the first quarterback to surpass 100,000 career passing yards Sunday in the win, with his 55th career game-winning drive, moving him past Peyton Manning for the most in NFL history. Hello. Well, listen to these stats here. Are we really going to doubt on Tom Brady now as I rattle off these stats? The 45-year-old quarterback, midway through his 23rd NFL season, even managed to do something he had not done before. In all of those comebacks, Brady had never gotten the ball back with less than a minute left and won the game in regulation with a touchdown pass. But that's what he did Sunday, ending the Bucs' 3-game losing streak and beating the defending Super Bowl champions. Mic drop right there. Are you kidding me? I am not going to say they're going to win the Super Bowl at this moment, but what I am going to say is you got to give credit where credit's due. People are in a hurry to criticize the team when they play poorly. Those same fans should also be in a hurry to compliment them when they do it well. I host another podcast for a different team, and they went on a losing streak as well. And it's funny, everyone likes to disparage these teams. And then even after they pick up a win, they'll go, yeah, they got lucky. At what point do you got to give credit where credit's due? You're very easy to back up the dump truck and pour the blame all over the players when they don't play well, but then you don't want to hand out the accolades when they do play well. It boggles my mind. So let's give a little credit to this Bucs team. They played a good game and they came from behind. They shouldn't have ever been from behind. I get that, but it's not a perfect world. They are not robots. They are football players. I don't think I should have to say that, but it's an interesting thing out there. We needed it, Brady said after the win, which put the Bucs 4-5 back in their first place atop the NFC South. And if Mike drop again, we needed that and we got it. We fought until the end. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. And you saw an emotional Tom Brady on the sidelines hugging Byron Leftwich. Just a special moment. There was, for him, the guy's gone through a hard time. I know he, had 7 Super Bowls and was married to a supermodel and had, just this perfect life. But, this guy's not infallible. He still has emotions. He was probably down on his luck. And the emotion you could see on Brady's face when they won that game and he gave him a hug. it was just a really special moment. And I don't want to get sappy here, but at the end of the day, you got to kind of feel sorry for these guys, whoever they may be. He was going through a hard time. This Bucs team picked up a big win. Obviously, football is pretty important to this guy because he gave up his marriage for it. I mean, let's face it, if Brady would have never came back for this last season, he'd probably still be married right now. So if you're ever going to doubt the level of commitment from Tom Brady, you better think again. He was willing to cash it all in and throw it all away for football, for one last run, ostensibly. Some people are saying he's going to come back 1 year and play with the 49ers, but I don't want to go into the weeds here. What I'm talking about here is that Brady threw it all away. He gave up a lot to come back to this Bucs team. He could have hung it all up. And I think what we're seeing that's starting to get drawn into focus a little bit more here is why he retired and why he unretired. Internal pressures is what his father said is why he retired. I think we're beginning to see that was Giselle. And if you're a married guy, what I think happened is she probably said, do whatever you're going to do. I don't care. And if you're a married guy, you know what that means. That means I better not do that. But he's like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to play another year. And she was like, fine, do it. And that's why their marriage is over. Tom Brady made his bed and he's got to sleep in it. And he better, now that he's back on this team, what I'm going to summarize what I'm saying here is never doubt his level of commitment to his love for football and the NFL. He came back despite it all. And just a real special moment there. Meanwhile, the Bucs defense had a lockdown fourth quarter, forcing 3 consecutive 3-and-outs from the Rams. Brady and the offense got the ball back at the 40-yard line with 44 seconds left and no timeouts. It hadn't found the end zone the entire night, limited to 3 field goals by many of the same frustrating problems that had plagued them during their 3-game losing streak. For instance, just before the 2-minute warning, down 13-9, they'd gotten to the Rams' 6-yard line, but receiver Scotty Miller, I am a fan of Scotty Miller, despite him dropping that big football, dropped a pass in the back of the end zone. Then rookie Cade Otton couldn't hold on to another. It was at that moment that, you almost kind of felt like throwing things at the TV. On 4th and goal with 1:57 left, Brady tried to hit receiver Mike Evans in double coverage, but the pass was broken up and fell incomplete. Another red zone failure, but the Bucs defense gave Brady another shot. Rams receiver Cooper Kupp, trying to stay in bounds to keep the clock running, slid to a stop 2 yards short of a first down to give Tampa Bay its 8th 3-and-out of the day. Oh, but there's more, kids. The biggest chunk came first with Ott making a diving catch across the middle for a 28-yard gain of the Rams 32, with Brady spiking the ball to stop the clock with 29 seconds left. Then came the quick passes, 4 yards to Leonard Fournette, 14 to Scotty Miller, 7 more to Miller, each time running out of bounds to stop the clock to put the Bucs at the Rams 7 with 16 seconds left. Brady threw to Evans in the end zone, drew a pass interference flag, putting the Bucs to the 1-yard line with 13 seconds left. I feel like I'm reading a movie trailer here. Having success in the red zone in short yardage situations has eluded the Bucs much of the season, including on their opening drive Sunday. They were stuffed on the 3rd and 2 at the Rams 3-yard line, settling for a field goal and settling the tone for the first 59 minutes of Sunday's game. On 4th and 2 in the third quarter, they went for it, only to have Brady sacked, turning the ball over on downs. Rams cornerback Kendrick hesitated for a split second to guard Miller, watched as Otton caught the pass at the 3, running toward the pylon and reaching the ball out for his first NFL touchdown, taking the lead with 9 seconds left. It's the 10th time in Brady's career he won a game with a touchdown pass in the final minute, but only one other time to Patriots receiver Kenbrell Tompkins with 5 seconds left in 2013 win over the Saints. He has done so with less time remaining. So what a dramatic game. At the end of the day, that's the one thing that you can say, a dramatic game. It seems like it was made for a movie. It kind of reminds me, starring Tom Brady, he looks like he could be a movie star. If you remember back what he did with the Falcons when he came back in the Super Bowl, don't ever sleep on Tom Brady. Don't ever doubt who he is as a player. At the end of the day, this Bucs team should feel very lucky that they have that guy on our team here. All right, so after the break here, we're going to talk about how Tom Brady surpasses 100,000 yards and how Brady calls out his team for not giving enough effort, even after a win. Yeah, we'll talk about that next. It's never too early to play holiday music, and it's never too early to start thinking about gifts. Whether it's for a friend or the friends in your pants, you can make this season to be jolly with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favor and use the Lawnmower 4.0 to avoid another silent night in the bedroom. Then add in Manscaped's top-of-the-line shower products to have the people thinking, all I want for Christmas is you. Santa cares about his sack, and so should you. Look nice when you get naughty by going to Manscaped.com and use promo code MINUTECAST for free shipping and 20% off. The Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 is the one-stop shop for the man who deserves it all. It has everything needed to help you deck the halls from the face to the balls just in time for the mistletoe season. The Platinum Package has each product for the best-selling Performance Package Plus Ultra Premium Body Wash, Ultra Premium 2-in-1 Shampoo Plus Conditioner, and Ultra Premium Deodorant. It's the best way to smell fresh from the Santa hat to your candy cane. The Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer and Weed Whacker nose and ear trimmer feature proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to protect your delicate presence. Both are waterproof, so there's no issue clearing the snow out of your driveway. Get 20% off and free shipping with promo code MINUTECAST at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com when you use promo code MINUTECAST. Manscaped, get your jingle balls ready for the holidays. All right, and welcome back into this edition of the Bucs Minicast, and many thanks go to Manscaped, who sponsors these independent podcasts. A bit of news as we are going to start a new podcast for the Bucs Report called the Bucs Report Podcast. It will be a weekly podcast with interviews from different beat writers and journalists and that kind of thing. And we'll also have different hosts from the Bucs Report on here. What it's going to be is on Friday when they're going to come out is we will talk about the news during the week pertaining to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who's in, who's not, who's playing well, that kind of thing. And then also in that episode, we will talk about the big game on Sunday or Monday, whatever the case may be. We'll break it down, and so that will be coming soon. So look for that, the Bucs Report podcast, a 30-minute podcast once a week, only on the Bucs Report. All right, in this next segment here, we are going to talk about Tom Brady as he surpasses and gets 100,000 passing yards. Who could catch him? This story in The Athletic: Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady surpassed the 100,000 total passing yard marks in Sunday's 16-13 win over the Rams. Brady secured the victory with a 6-play, 60-yard touchdown drive late in the fourth quarter. Here's what you need to know. Brady is the first quarterback in NFL history to record 100,000 total passing yards. He surpassed the 100,000 yard mark when he threw to running back Leonard Fournette. It took Brady 374 NFL games to reach this mark. Brady entered week 6 having thrown for at least 164 yards in 50 consecutive games, the second longest active streak in the NFL. Brady entered the league in 2000 when the Patriots selected him in the 6th round of the draft. Over 2 decades and 7 Super Bowl rings later, Brady is still at it. And, that's what I'm talking about. Don't ever disparage. Don't ever, doubt what he has. He's going to have a bad game. He is fallible. He is a human at the end of the day. So just let's kind of take it easy on Brady. We're going to do a bit of a change here. This was an article that I read that I think is kind of interesting. This was put out by Rick Stroud, Joey Knight to be particular. Both work for the Tampa Bay Times. And if you haven't, please subscribe to the Tampa Bay Times. They put out an excellent publication. You can get it either online or you can get, I think, the paper form. I don't know if anyone reads a paper newspaper anyway. But in any case, Rick Stroud and Joey Knight and Greg Auman, they all do such an excellent job covering this team. But this article I read earlier today, I kind of forgot about it, and I think it kind of bears repeating, was that Leonard Fournette was extremely frustrated at being replaced. Rookie Rachaad White had to console the veteran NFL on CBS. Tracy Wolfson reported Sunday, Bucs running back Leonard Fournette is stopped by Rams linebacker Bobby Wagner during the second half of Tampa Bay's 16-13 triumph Sunday. Fournette was held to only 19 yards. on 9 carries. So for me, I understand, he's a competitive guy. He wants to play a bunch of as many plays as he can possibly play. But at the end of the day, I was always wondering, was Keyshawn Vaughn injured? Why was he not playing? For his first run, I was impressed. It looks like they stopped him and he did that spin move and ran. I always have liked Keyshawn Vaughn. I just, it just seems like, for me, I think what it is they kept giving the ball to Leonard Fournette, and he is a huge man. Don't get me wrong. If that guy's running, it's going to be difficult to take him down. So I understand that. He's, one of the best running backs there is out there, I think. But, just like Tom Brady, you're going to have an off game every now and then. So if you take a look at Leonard Fournette, I understand he's a competitive guy, but it was good for Rachaad White to get out there. Rachaad White is the one that is lauded and talked highly of by Tom Brady, the guy that takes notes. He's very studious about the game. And then you also have Keyshawn Vaughn, who played very well for this Bucs team. So, I understand where Fournette's coming from, but at the end of the day, you got to give some of these guys an opportunity as well. Bucs coach Todd Bowles said he was unaware of reporting during CBS broadcast of Sunday's game against the Rams, indicating that tailback Leonard Fournette was extremely frustrated for being held out of a drive late in the first half. And where have we seen this before? Remember Antonio Brown? I'm not getting the rock enough. Took his pads off and threw them off and peace out. And, he kind of has disappeared into oblivion. I'm not kind of going to draw lines between the two players, but at the end of the day, these are competitive guys playing at the highest level of football there is. So, let's give Leonard Fournette a bit of a break. He is a competitive guy. He's a great player. If he can, it would be a different story if Leonard Fournette couldn't back up who he is as a player. But if you take a look at his career, it's going to be hard to say anything negative about Leonard Fournette. Veteran CBS sideline reporter Tracy Wolfson reported that Fournette, who finished with only 19 yards on 9 carries, expressed his frustrations after rookie backup Rachaad White was employed on a 10-play drive, ending with Ryan Succop's 52-yard field goal getting blocked. White has a drive and carries for 18 yards on the drive, while third-string back Keyshawn Vaughn was stopped for 1 yard. Short on his lone carry. Wolfson reported that White, who led the Bucs with 27 yards on 8 handoffs, consoled Fournette afterward, telling the 27-year-old veteran, "We need you." And how mature for this young man, for Rachaad White, his first year, the studious guy that probably takes football more seriously than any other player I know out there, was consoling a veteran on the team. Someone like Leonard Fournette, and I think that a tough alpha male guy, well, whoa, the big baby, what is he crying about? That's all nonsense. You should value the fact that Leonard Fournette is mad that he's not getting all those plays. If you think about it, he loves playing that much. He cares that much. That's why he's upset. So let's not try to diminish it. Let's not disparage him by saying anything negative. Leonard Fournette wanted to be in and help this Bucs team win a game. But, looking big picture, and I bet you if you asked him today, kind of removed from the situation, he would probably say, I'm glad the kid got his opportunity. I'm glad that Rachaad White got his opportunity. I'm glad that Keyshawn Vaughn, saw some limited time in the game. It's not all about me, right? That's the way you got to look at it. I know that, sometimes people can be kind of egomaniacs and that kind of thing, but I think at the end of the day, if you were going to ask him today, I think he would be fine for it. I didn't see or hear anything about that, Bowles said. The incident raised a mild red flag considering Fournette's recent history. After signing with the Bucs in September 2020, Fournette, who had put together 2 1,000-yard seasons in Jacksonville, became disgruntled with his limited role in even was a healthy scratch. In Week 14 against the Vikings, a candid conversation with then coach Bruce Arians helped Fournette refocus, and he flourished during the team's Super Bowl run after starter Ronald Jones was placed on COVID reserve late in mid-December. And let's reminisce a little bit about that. Do you guys remember that when Fournette, wasn't playing that well and he came out, and then it was Ronald Jones was in there, and then there was Keyshawn Vaughn back then as well. I do remember that time where he came back focused. And what I'm going to say, just the more you read this article, and I've read this a couple times here, is that, again, that is still my assessment, is that he cares a lot. That is why he is upset. I don't think that we should be too hard on Leonard Fournette. He is a guy that cares a lot about this team. He cares a lot about winning. And, I don't want him to be disgruntled. I don't want him to leave this team. But ultimately, he's got to do what he's got to do. After totaling 1,266 yards and 10 touchdowns last season, Fournette agreed to a 3-year, $21 million contract in March, but has struggled to produce this fall for an offense that ranks last in the NFL in rushing, 60.7 yards per game if you're doing math at home. So, I mean, that's the thing here is I can understand his disenchantment with the game. He wanted to be out there and he wanted to prove to everyone that he belonged there. And, maybe to a certain extent, he was losing some faith in himself too, right? That kind of happens, where you start to doubt yourself. And then, kind of the dagger in is that all of a sudden he felt like his team was turning on him. They pulled him out in favor of a rookie, Rashad White, kind of an unproven commodity, and Keyshawn Vaughn. Just kind of put your head into the cockpit of his brain and understand what he's going through. Are you a person that goes about your day-to-day life with pride? If you answer yes to that, then maybe you can be empathetic to his situation. He's a guy that probably is kind of feeling down that he's not playing as well. And then all of a sudden you insert Rashad White, who is a future grade player, and Keyshawn Vaughn. So, let's kind of pump the brakes on the hate on these guys. They are humans. They are fallible at the end of the day. I think nothing less of Leonard Fournette, and I do think that he will bounce back and have a great rest of the season with the Bucs. But, again, a Brady and Fournette, both guys proving that they're human, and just people need to take it easy on them. I think that, a lot of times you look at these players and you view them as larger than life, but, you're starting to see that they are in fact human, and it seems like it should be kind of a no-brainer thing. But in any case, I think that the Bucs are in a good position now. I think they can kind of ride this wave of momentum going forward here. So, all right, the Bucs do play again Sunday against the Seahawks. It is one of those games overseas, so you're going to have to get up early. Get that coffee pot going, set a timer, get the Keurig going, whatever it is that wakes you up in the morning. If you want to watch the Bucs on Sunday, better set an alarm and you better get that coffee pot going because the Bucs play early and they're hoping for a big win. I don't know what your thoughts are about them playing overseas. I think it's good to sell the brand overseas. There is, I can just even talk about this with the Bucs. There is a big fan base for the NFL and the Buccaneers in particular over in Europe in particular. So I can see why they're trying to spread the brand throughout there. It makes sense. I think that there's a lot of United States fans that are a little upset because that means that it's -1 game at home. Get over it. Let these people that love the team, that have an opportunity to see them overseas, let them go watch them live if they can afford it or if they can find a way to the arena, the stadium. So anyway, it should be an interesting game. And, a high note, let's not be negative here. This Bucs team won a really great game, a come-from-behind win, nonetheless, to take down the LA Rams. It is a formidable opponent, and good on the Bucs for doing it. All right, once again, thank you for joining me on this edition of the Bucs Minutecast, and thank you to Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping when you use promo code Minutecast at manscaped.com. Talk to you next.